You're watching F5. We are here at AppWorld 2025. We're at the Fontainebleau in Las Vegas. I'm here in the community area, so this is user experience, insiders at DevCentral, the Nginx community. I'm pointing at things that you can't see, but I make the point of being in the community area because this is where we talk about working together with folks, and one of those folks is actually Jeff from NetApp. Jeff, can I get you to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Boo. I'm Jeff Dickey. I'm a senior director at NetApp, and I've been kind of focusing on cloud for the last 6 years at NetApp.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic, awesome. We've been able to work together on a few different things. It's actually Steve Gorman who is doing a lot of that work. Scott will say he's doing a lot of work in that space as well. But with that, some of that is around what you guys are seeing in terms of trends with people moving data around, hybrid cloud, all cloud perhaps. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I'm seeing several things. They usually kind of fall into a few different areas. So we're seeing a lot of consolidation in data centers. So there's some data movement there. Security is a big one. Cost reduction. So anything that customers are looking at, saving money or doing more with less, which is something that we really fall into with different things like, obviously consolidating storage onto NetApp, you're going to get cost savings. We've got tiering and we've got dedupe and we have the snapshots. A lot of things that are important for the enterprise functionality for critical apps, but also reducing that footprint as we keep growing our data, right? So data's growing for a few obvious reasons. But that's what we're seeing. Yeah.
Interesting. And some might even say, like, if we're saying consolidation, but we're also saying hybrid, multi-cloud in the same paragraph or sentence there, like how does that look? Are people trying to have multiple spots, but really reduce the amount? It's more about like disparate types of clouds, perhaps. Like they're going to the different hyperscalers and still have their data centers, but less quantity of those.
Yeah. So the customers kind of fall in every bucket, right? There's kind of not one size fits all. I mean, there's obviously companies that are all in that are born in the cloud or run primarily on one cloud. We've got lots of customers that are have many data centers and also consume every cloud in conjunction with their data centers, right? So they have a lot of complexity, a lot of data. But there's just, I think that's what I've always been a fan of cloud is it's like, it's what do you want to do, right? That's why there's 100 different types of instances. You can really choose what you want to do. I kind of come from the background, again, I'm very much been cloud focused for quite a while, but it's like, what are you doing and why, right? There's a reason to use your data centers and a reason to have data and compute on-prem, and there's really good reasons to have it in the public cloud, right? I always say, I think we've proven it's cheaper to do it on-prem, but you're never going to out-innovate the clouds. You'll always be behind. So, if you're building, if you're innovating, if you're trying, you want to start in cloud. You want to build it out, and maybe you do bring it back, but you're kind of sometimes you're limited on what you can do based on what you have, right? So you're never going to have the hundreds and hundreds of services that the cloud providers have, nor do you want to, nor can you have their expertise on that. So it's really what's best for the business, what's best for the app, where does that need to be? And I think that's what's great about our partnership is, we don't have to worry about the limitations of speed and flexibility and security, obviously, right? Because you can have your apps and data where they need to be, where they live the best, where they serve your customers, whether it's internal folks or whether it's your consumer customers. Where does it need to be that's best for that app? Does it need flexibility? Does it need innovation? Or does it need speed, stability, and you need to really work on the operational costs of that? Maybe it's not changing much, right? So it's just, what do you need? And again, going back to our partnership is, we're both everywhere. F5 and NetApp, our business is based on what do our customers need, where are they? We meet them where they're at.
Yeah, that's awesome too. I had a conversation with one of your colleagues and it's very much about, regardless of where you are, the NetApp value that you guys bring, whether it's the dedupe, but the security aspects or the management aspects, because you go to another place doesn't mean you have to give up all of those things.
Yeah.
And maybe as part of that too, is AI, I would imagine, kind of shifting how this works for you guys? Like when you say speed and innovation, I think it's like a race right now for companies to figure out what is the innovation I need in order to get that value out of AI, because I know something is there. But to fuel AI, we all know by now, it's really important to have a lot of data to train models, or at least get corporate data accessible by AI to give the relevancy to your business for whatever you're building.
Yep. And it's a pretty complex problem at a lot of our joint customers, right? They've got data everywhere, they've got a lot of locations, a lot of regions, and it's really trying to figure out what's best. So a while back, it was always cheaper, faster, more effective to train in the cloud. Once you kind of figure that out, you could bring it on-prem and run that. But as more people are moving into RAG, right? It's still, you still need to train and optimize it, but now we're finding that the data sets that people need are everywhere. Traditionally, what like the data engineering folks do is you're just like, hey, give me all the data, give me as much data as you can, we're going to dump it somewhere. Now, what happens is when you're making changes, you could have a huge data set, and most folks, what they'll do is they'll copy that. They'll have multiple data sets in blob and object, and it quickly becomes expensive and unmanageable. So what's nice about NetApp is we offer these enterprise features in all the clouds where, why are we not dumping these large data sets into NetApp volumes that have all these enterprise features, where you can snapshot, you can dedupe, you can tier, you can have these massive large data sets, but reduce your footprint, which reduces your costs, which reduces all of your complexity. We also have other ways of caching into cloud and doing different things that are more effective. Especially looking at RAG. Like, what if you have encrypted data on-prem that you need access to? We have solutions for that. And together, as we're going out trying to solve secure RAG for customers, we're able to hit all of these pain points, whether it's security in transit or security at rest. But we're going to see a lot of new trends coming out, because again, I said everyone's doing RAG, which is good, but we're going to start seeing people using more models everywhere, right? It's going to be multi-model, multi-cloud everywhere. We're going to start seeing models in conjunction with other models. We're not going to just have one model or one RAG system. We're going to have many different models doing very specific things, and we're going to have models that kind of orchestrate that and in different places. And this kind of ties into what you guys are doing really, really well at with prompt security and other things, because we're starting to collect data that we may not want, right? So how are we going to govern that data? How are we going to have compliance around that data and classify that data? Because as we have more models, as we have more agents, the AI is going to be creating data. Yeah. It's going to be creating a data at a bigger flow than our users or our apps or our business creates. How are we going to take that in? How are we going to be responsible for that data? How are we going to know, what data comes in, what we don't want, and where it is, right? So it's going to evolve, and it's going to grow rapidly. And I just encourage everyone, I think, to start exploring RAG as a department level, wherever you're at, because I think being part of the maturity process is going to be the most important. You don't want to be starting later as we're into multiple models. You want to start now and mature with the industry.
Yeah, I think part of that too, early on in what you're talking about there, is the data engineers. And I found in some of the conversations that I've had at a couple AI conferences that are more data focused, is that they don't realize that the traditional enterprise IT solved many of these things already. But they are working with things in their own zone and not necessarily approaching things from a traditional IT sense, which is fine, like they're doing their innovation and whatnot. And then they go back to NetApps, SecOps, or the data folks who manage the storage devices, the storage arrays, and they're like, oh, we need to solve for this thing. Oh, we actually already do that with NetApp or otherwise, and we have policies around which data is allowed to go where. We have ways to transport that data if you just talk to the NetApps folks and the data folks, and we have joint solutions around that. So to the maturity point that you made there, a lot of that maturity has happened in other ways, and we have developed solutions that are just help speak to the folks that are just learning about the stuff that was already solved.
Yeah, I love what you said, because I think what we're seeing now is these projects are typically duplicating everything we have, right? So we're actually duplicating the data multiple times. We're duplicating some of the licenses too. In other areas, we're creating more future technical debt and more complexities, because the cloud platform teams, the data engineering teams, these are teams that they don't know. Maybe they're not familiar with the NetApp and F5, and they're doing things in a different way, when the business already owns it, already has the licenses, is already doing it. So how do we simplify this whole process, right? How do we help kind of extend the data, right? We've got SnapMirror, we have all these different cloning technologies. We have so many ways to reduce the footprint, plus they already own F5 and NetApp. I think it's a great way to reduce the complexity and really drastically reduce spend, and be able to do more of these projects for less.
Yeah, absolutely, because that innovation and that speed, we know that there's something there. Maybe you have a couple wins on that, and you've now been able to build on that because you did talk to the data team and you talked to the NetOps and SecOps team, and you figured out how to streamline that so you can do your next experiment for cheaper and not have to go back to your boss and say, I need another $1 million to train this big thing. Oh, we actually implemented RAG, and you don't need to actually train a new model. You can just use this RAG corpus to be able to feed the same thing.
Yeah,
we
need to leverage what we have, and that's what we're seeing. Training these models off our existing ones, and fine tuning it.
Yeah, so I will say, I think you know about this, but we have an AI reference architecture now that some of our folks have worked on. RAG and how we work with NetApp is a big part of that. So make sure you go check out f5.com for that. For all the NetApp stuff, where do we go for information on that?
I'm pointing everyone, because we have such a great partnership with F5, I'm pointing everyone to our partnership page at F5. And that's where you can find our secure RAG information. There are several amazing blog posts on DevCentral. So the F5 customers can go there, because it's kind of written in that viewpoint, and to kind of help understand from F5's perspective of what NetApp does and how it kind of fits in. But it's what's great is we have mostly the same customers, and we also have all the same channel partners. So it's, if you want this implemented, I know the channel partner's been very excited about, because they know, they have experts on both companies. So it's great.
Yeah, fantastic. So this could be solved very, very quickly. All the resources are there, the channel partners are there, we have demonstrations and all that kind of stuff is there. So very, very exciting to work with you guys. This has spun up really quickly too, like quick time to market. So I love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks folks for checking out this video. Just make sure you follow along on LinkedIn, on X, on Facebook, on YouTube, like, subscribe, do all those things, and otherwise we will see you on the next one. Bye folks.